There is a road in Colorado that climbs so high the trees give up before it does. It is called Loveland Pass, and it crosses the Continental Divide at 11,990 feet. The Continental Divide is the ridge that decides whether a falling raindrop ends up in the Pacific or the Atlantic. 800 feet below this road, straight down inside the mountain, there is a modern highway tunnel. That tunnel is warmer, straighter, faster, and far safer than the road above it. And yet, every single day, about 200 trucks loaded with fuel are forbidden by law from using it. The law sends them up here instead, onto two narrow lanes with no guardrail, no lights, and nothing but air on one side. Somewhere on this climb is a slope that experts call the most active avalanche path of any highway in America. And on one Saturday in April, this mountain killed 5 men who understood avalanches better than almost anyone alive. The pass is named for William Loveland, a railroad man who wanted a route straight through these mountains. For most of a century, it was the only way across, and drivers accepted whatever the weather did to them. Then, in March of 1973, the Eisenhower Tunnel opened underneath the divide, and almost everything changed. 7 workers died digging those bores, and the finished tunnel became the highest point on any interstate in America. But there is one load that tunnel will never take, because a fire inside a sealed 3-mile bore is nearly impossible to control. So the tankers are banned from below, and the law pushes the most dangerous cargo onto the most dangerous road. On Friday night, April 19, 2013, a mountain guide named Rick Gockel stood in front of a room below this pass. He spent that evening teaching people how to read snow and how to stay alive in avalanche country. The next morning, 6 of them drove up Highway 6 together for a short tour before lunch. These were not tourists. Every one of them worked in snow for a living. Rick Gockel guided climbers. Joe Timlin had organized the whole gathering, and Christopher Peters and Ryan Novak knew this snowpack well. Ian Lanfear was 36, and he had a baby daughter waiting for him in Crested Butte. The 6th man was Jerome Boulay, and you should remember him, because he is the only reason we know what happened. They read the avalanche forecast together, and they talked about the weak, buried layer that the forecast warned them about. They parked at the last hairpin turn before the summit, a bend that people up there call Scotty's Corner. Then they chose a low line across the very bottom of the slope, because the bottom is supposed to be the safe part. The snow broke loose above them anyway, 800 feet wide and more than 8 feet deep. It buried 5 of the 6 so fast that not one of them had time to pull an airbag. Jerome Boulay woke in total darkness under the snow and found that he could still move one hand. He scraped an air pocket in front of his face, dug himself to the surface, and shouted for his friends. Cars kept crossing Loveland Pass all that time, and not one driver knew what had happened below them. 2 avalanche forecasters named Lee Metzger and Stu Schaefer spotted the torn slope from the interstate at about 1:15 noon. By then, all 5 men were gone, in the deadliest avalanche Colorado had seen in 50 years. That slope sits within sight of the pavement, and the pavement has slides of its own waiting above it. On the eastern climb, there are chutes called the 7 Sisters, and they run all the way down onto the road. Slides there have buried the highway under 5 feet of snow and shoved vehicles right off the edge. Because the whole pass sits above the tree line, wind rebuilds the drifts minutes after a plow clears them. Add black ice to a long, steep descent, put a loaded fuel tanker behind you, and that is an ordinary winter morning here. If you are going to drive it anyway, there are 4 rules worth knowing. Check the road status before you leave, because this pass closes with almost no warning. Never stop inside a marked avalanche zone, and never park under an open slope to take a photograph. Give the fuel trucks plenty of room, because they cannot stop quickly and they have nowhere else to go. Shift low on the way down and let the engine hold you back. The tunnel below will always be the safer road, and the mountain keeps this one. There are more roads like this one than anyone will tell you, so subscribe and we will take the next one apart together.